Hi, and it's time for another Sunday drive. I thought this would be easier since one, it's more aesthetically pleasing. Two, I'm not actually driving, so if I get pulled over, I won't get in trouble because I'm not going anywhere. And three, because I want to get this all done within 5 minutes. And so today, I want to talk about sports and why I love them so much. And specifically, I want to talk about my team, my number one team, Everton Football Club in Liverpool. I've never actually been to Liverpool. I've never seen them play in Liverpool or in England. Never been to England, but I did see them play once in Washington, D.C., and so here's why I love Everton. And I think next week I'll talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder a bit. So another, sports-related thing. But Everton, wow. Well, in college, I was always a big soccer fan. U.S. soccer, Major League Soccer. I watched the women's and men's national teams in the U.S., and I love the U.S. national teams. And, it's too bad, during the Olympics, I'll talk more about that. But I never really got into European soccer until, it was in college. It was why I was at OSU. And so I went to OSU, and some people were into FIFA, and I love soccer, and I decided I was going to start watching the English Premier League, and I was going to choose a team. And this is right after I chose my Major League Soccer team, which is the Houston Dynamo, and I just wanted a team overseas to support, to kind of expand my knowledge. I didn't want to be a Euro snob, as they call, American soccer fans who like European soccer instead of American, but don't support, actually American soccer. But I did want a European team, and an English team at that. So I started watching, and I knew that I wanted, one, a team with an American player on it, and two, I didn't want to support one of the big four as it was, which was Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea. I didn't want to support any of those teams because those were the most popular teams to support, and I didn't want to be a trend follower. So my main two choices were Fulham and Everton. And honestly, if I had chosen 2 years before this, I would have chosen Fulham because they had all the American players. They had my favorite American player at the time, and Brian McBride. And so but as it was, when I was watching, they only had one. It was Clint Dempsey, and I was still kind of leaning toward them, or Everton. Everton had the goalkeeper, Tim Howard. And Everton, I was kind of leaning toward them, but I didn't know. I saw the FA Cup final between Everton and Chelsea in 2009. Everton lost, but I was cheering for them. So I knew I really liked them. And at one point in 2009, in December of 2009, I heard that Landon Donovan might be joining Everton on a short loan. And I got really excited. I'm like, yes! Landon Donovan, who was the star of the U.S. team, is going to Everton on loan. It was leading up to the World Cup. We just qualified for the World Cup, and so U.S. soccer was on a high, and Landon Donovan is just this was big news, exciting. And so I still hadn't decided yet, and eventually, when I really knew kind of Everton and Fulham played each other, and I was like, okay, whichever team I support here will be the team I choose. And I actually supported Everton, but I wasn't really to make that leap yet. And it wasn't till, oh goodness, they played Chelsea. It was in February 10th. And they played Chelsea, and Chelsea actually scored first. And I was like, oh my goodness. But then Louis Saha scored 2 goals. Landon Donovan got an assist. and they were up 2-1. And I remember there were 5 minutes of added time at the end. The referee, I didn't know what the referee was doing. I was mad. I was screaming at actually the computer screen, because that's where I was watching. But finally the referee blew the final whistle. We had won 2-1, and it was huge. It was a huge win. I mean, we'd beaten Manchester United in that same run of games, and oh my goodness, and also Manchester City. And I mean, it was just a very successful period for us, and it was just really exciting. Things were happening. We finished 8th that year. It was outside of the European spots, so it wasn't as successful the year. We got some draws when we should have won, but I was just, that Chelsea game is what sold me. I'm like, I support Everton, and ever since, it's been kind of the ride it's been taken, and there's been a lot of highs, a lot of high highs, and a lot of lows. Probably the highest high came in the FA Cup in 2011, and my favorite player is Leighton Baines, and goodness, I just received his jersey in the mail the day before, February 19th, and I was wearing it for the first time this morning on TV. You know, I was up early watching this FA Cup replay against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and it was scoreless through 90 minutes, so we go to extra time, and Chelsea scores, and I mean, Frank Lampard, and I'm thinking, it's all over, and time's about to run out. There's only a few minutes left, and I just know we have nothing left, and it's over. We get a dangerous free kick, maybe 2-3 minutes left in the game, and Leighton Baines comes up to take it, and I'm just trying not to be optimistic, but I can't help but hope. I can't help it, and I see that kick just sail into the top corner, and I just lose it. I'm like, oh my goodness, and I start screaming, and then, you know, in the final seconds of the game, Chelsea almost scored. I was like, oh no, and oh man, that was like, oh, we're going to penalties, and Leighton Baines, would you believe it, goes first for us, misses his first penalty, and I'm like, oh dear. I mean, we're about to go out, and oh goodness. And then what happened was Tim Howard saved a penalty, so we're all even. And then Ashley Cole, the last penalties, 5th penalties for both teams. Ashley Cole sends it straight over the bar, and so it's up to Phil Neville. Our captain steps up, and I'm like, oh God, please, Phil, just score here. And he does. And I just start screaming and going crazy, and oh my goodness, that was probably the happiest moment for me. I just spit a little on the camera, okay. As an Evertonian, I mean, I was just so excited and so happy, and oh goodness. And in the next round, we lose at home to Reading, who was a 2nd division team, a championship team, which is the 2nd division, and goodness, that was the lowest I've ever felt. So from high to low. So yeah, how quickly things change. But yeah, it's just been it's a roller coaster. I mean, from losing the next year, losing Mikel Arteta on transfer deadline day, and then the very next transfer deadline day, we beat Manchester City, which was huge. We signed Nikita Jelavic, who this season ended up doing great for us, scoring a whole lot of goals, and we re-signed Steven Pienaar on loan right as the deadline was closing in, and I mean, it was just a great day. I mean, that was a really big high, and you know, going to see them in Washington, D.C. was one of the best experiences of my life. I mean, maybe exaggerating, but you know, it was really fun, and just meeting those people and just having a lot of fun and seeing my team in person. I mean, that was really fun. So I love being an Evertonian, and I hope that I'm Evertonian for the rest of my life. I plan to be. So that's really what I've got to say about Everton. And I said 5 minutes, but it's been more like 10. Oh well. But that's really all I have to say about that. So we'll see you next time. Hopefully this went a whole lot better and smoother, and I think we're just going to do the same thing next time. Instead of driving and trying to focus on talking and driving at the same time, which is kind of scary, I'll just maybe do this. So Thanks for listening, and